Hello everyone. Welcome to another learning session of Foundation of Programming at CodeMode, where you learn by practice. Currently you are learning about algorithm and flowchart, and in today's class we will learn about flowchart, which is the second part of it. Before I start, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel, especially if you are watching on YouTube. For complete course and practice, go to our platform my.codemode.us. Let's begin. When we wrote algorithms, we wrote text. If an algorithm is small, like 3 lines or 4 lines or 10 lines, even 20 lines, it is easier to follow. But as people say, a picture speaks 1,000 words. Similarly, a flowchart is a graphical or pictorial way of representing an algorithm. And remember, an algorithm is nothing but a set of instructions to solve a problem. Now, by creating a visual representation, by creating an image, it is much easier to remove the ambiguity, and it helps you easily visualize the solution. You can very easily or relatively easily able to find a potential problem in the solution. Now, a flowchart is made up of several parts, and a flowchart has different shapes, including arrows. It has different shapes to which each of the shape has a purpose. It provides a functionality. Now, every flowchart starts with an start and ends with an end. The start and end are referred using an oval shape. Both start and end are depicted using oval shape. Now, every flowchart must have a start and end. So when you write a flowchart, you always start this and start this, and you say start and you say end. Remember, one of the 5 characteristics of a flowchart or of an algorithm is that it must have a definite start and end. That means all the steps has to be within a start and end. Without a start or without an end, it's an infinite. So it has to be finite. That's why we always use a start and end, because that way we know that flowchart has an end. It's not infinite. So you always start with an oval start and end, and use oval with a text inside start and end. Some people also write finish. There is no rule as such you should use the word end or finish, but you should have one of these two. Either some people love to write end, some people love to write finish, whatever suits you. The next shape is, again, remember, we have input and output. So input and output both are represented using a parallelogram, and a parallelogram represents an input and output, and you can see here also input and output. So when you start, typically you start with an oval. I'm not good at drawing an oval, and then you have some input and you connect it using an arrow, saying this program starts here, and then input, you don't say input, you say take first number. Similarly, when time comes to show an output, you want to say, of course this is here an end, and then you want an arrow, and then there is another parallelogram that says show output, or whatever you so average. Let's use the average. So average, suppose we calculated average. Remember, every flowchart or every algorithm has an input and also has an output, and if you have more than one input, then you want to take second input. You can take as many input you want, and all represented using a parallelogram. So this parallelogram shows that this is an input, this is an input, this is an input, and then towards the end, when you use a parallelogram, we know that this is an output, because we are generating an output and ending or finishing the algorithm. Now remember we said input, processing and output. So we identified input. Let me change the color here. So let's say this is an input and let's say this is an output. Between input and output, this is input and this is output. Between input and output, we will have what we call it. Let me use this color. And we will have set of steps here, which is our processing. Within processing, you can have three different possibilities. And I'm going to talk about each of them in the next class. But understand that one possibility is when you are doing sequential processing, when you are all your steps are in the sequence. You finish one, then go to next, then go to next, and we represent that using a rectangle. So we took three numbers. Now I want to get the sum of this. I'll create a rectangle and say S equal to input. Suppose this was N1, this was N2, and this is N3. I'll say N1 plus N2 plus N3. And then I'll say average A, another rectangle, A equal to S divided by 3. And then show average or say A. So I took first input N1, second N2, N3. I did not write here. And then finally, in the steps, in the processing, I used a rectangle to represent that I am doing some processing. This is neither input, this is not output. This is my processing. So I use a rectangle to do the processing. And usually I write one rectangle for each sequence. I don't want to write two inside here, two steps inside. One step, one rectangle. So I drew one rectangle here, I wrote a step, another rectangle, and of course there is a connecting arrow. Where arrows show the flow of the algorithm. After this number, I'll take this, then this, then this. All these steps go from top to bottom usually towards the end. And this is what flowchart is all about. And we will see it in action. We will do more practice. You will have a lot more opportunities, but learn to recognize each shape and remember the purpose of each shape. That's all in this class. Now, if you have any question, post it in the community on our platform my.codemode.us. Also take time to solve this quiz associated with this concept. It will not only make you practice, but also test your knowledge and understanding. I'll see you all in the next class. Keep learning.